Hey, how's it going, guys? Good morning, and I'm back at the shop with the MR2, and I'm not pulling the motor out because I actually got the brand new motor in. I didn't even vlog me working on the car. It's been about a month since I've been to Button Willow and blew the motor initially. A lot has happened since. I do want to apologize for the shaky camera. I forgot my gimbal at the house. I thought I left it in my car. Did not end up being the case, and now we're gonna be dealing with hand Omar, also known as shaky cam Omar. The car was sitting in my house for about I think it was about 3-4 weeks, and then I finally got enough money and finally got the parts I needed to get the motor going. I got the new motor. I got everything that I needed to get the new motor in. So I brought the car in last Friday, finished everything in Tuesday, and the car's been sitting in the shop since because I've been needing a bolt to get my motor running. Was for this right here. And as you can see, the bolt didn't work. Yesterday, I found someone nearby who was able to weld this. Once again, I do want to shout out Nocturnal Welding. He's a local welder in Camarillo. If you guys live in the area and need to get welding done, this guy is a pro. He was just doing welding for Logan Paul, so this guy really knows how to weld. And that got everything going. Turned the motor on yesterday to find out I got some problems. There were two big problems. My goal yesterday was to take the car out for a test drive and be able to, see if there was any problems, but I didn't even need to take the car off the lift to figure out that there was some serious problems to take care of. First off, I can't even drive the car. If you look, my brand new tires, the sidewall is a little too thick and it's literally rubbing on my suspension. That's with the car in the air. Oh man, yeah, I can't drive the car like this. I already got a fix. My friend Farkad asked me to pick up some rims for him. I want to give a huge shout out to my homie Farkad. He called me a while back to pick up some rims for him and to hold it for him while he's getting ready to move and all that stuff. And I kind of thought about that. Those rims are around the same size of the rims that I'm running right now. So I gave him a quick call and said, hey, do you need the tires with those rims? And thankfully he said no. So those tires happen to be the right size for my car. They're the same width. It's just the sidewalls are actually just quite a bit thinner. So that means I'm actually able to get away with running those tires. They are going to be mismatched tires. I'm running Champero's SX2s for all 4 tires, and all of them are 215, 45, 17. These are going to be Federal SX RRs or something like that. They're kind of the same as these, but they're the Federal version of them. And they're going to be 215, 40, 17. It's just going to suck though, just because of the fact that I am going to be running mismatched tires in the front and they are slightly used. So I might have some potential front grip issues in the future. But once again, I can start running these Champeros again once I get coilovers on the car. The coilover is going to be much more thin compared to the stock suspension. Lies in the oil pan, and it's not an oil leak. When I saw liquid coming through here, you can see the little residual, what used to be the liquid coming through there. I have to turn the motor to double check, but I saw liquid just dripping over here. In fact, right there, a little bit of liquid. And I was praying that it was oil. I was praying that maybe I didn't torque up the bolts, maybe that just oil just seeping through the gasket. No, it's not oil. You can see the time belt cover is just a little bit wet. And the only thing that holds coolant all the way up there is my water pump, which means I have a water pump leak. I'm not happy about this whatsoever. If I have a water pump leak, that is a potentially massive issue. I can do this without pulling the motor out, but it is a pain in the ass of a job. So since the leak hasn't really continued, I'm just praying that it's a one-off thing. I'm gonna lower the car, I'm gonna turn her on and let it idle for about a minute or two, then just see if any coolant starts coming out of it actively. I'm more or less worried about the exhaust fumes for my catalytic converter than anything else at the moment. So let's just turn her on and see what happens. I don't know if you're able to hear me, but the car is running right now. I haven't seen any cooling come out yet. It's only been 40, 50 seconds since I turned the car on. It doesn't really look like there's any cooling coming out, but I'm gonna just double check to see. Yeah, I don't see anything. But once again, I'm gonna let it idle for a bit, see what happens. Part of me is debating on just deleting everything and just leaving it as a catback exhaust, because For a 4-cylinder motor, it sounds really good. And bad news, it's leaking. It is 100% coming from the water pump. That was completely dry before I turned the motor on. I am not excited whatsoever. This is gonna be a very intensive job. It involves taking out the right side engine mount because that's completely in the way. I can't really take out the timing belt cover off. So from now, I think I'm just gonna record a couple time lapses of just me working on the motor. I'm not really good on angles, so I'm gonna do the best I can to set up a good angle for you guys. But as I'm going along, I'm gonna be coming in and out, reading the Toyota manual, making sure I do everything right. I do know what I need to do. I'm gonna have the Toyota repair manual alongside with me, just to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. I am having a little bit of issues taking my engine mount bracket off. I have one bolt in the bottom. I've been attacking this bolt for quite a bit now. It's just really annoying to get to, and I think I rounded it. I really hope I didn't. I still have the old motor right here, so I can actually give you guys a visual representation of what's going on. You have one bolt over here somewhere that meets with another bracket. So the bracket comes down here and it's held on by these 3 bolts right here. So this bottom bolt is the bolt that I want to get to, and I get to this bolt from underneath the car. These 2 top bolts I can get to from the top of the car. Quick thing, if you guys are new to working on cars, I definitely recommend doing this. Since this bolt is the hardest to get to, I would recommend always attacking the hardest to get to bolt first. Because if you start with the easiest bolt to get to and you work your way down, of course, you're going to have the hardest bolt to get to that holds all the weight of the bracket and the torque that it's spec'd up to, which means this bolt could be extremely hard to get to, extremely hard to untighten, and once again, it's a really high likely chance that you're going to round the bolt, which is something you do not want to do. I have these 3 bolts right here loosened. They're not taken out. I just loosened them a little bit. This is going to be the first bolt that's going to be taken out first. I'm trying to figure out what I can do right now to really be able to get something properly on to see if I can actually go at it properly. So I got the bolts off from the bottom. I don't know if you guys, well, here's the camera. I don't know if you guys can see, but as you can tell, the bolt was rounded quite a bit. Thankfully, I managed to get it off before I actually did some serious damage to the bolt. Kind of my fix for me grounding the bolt was I managed to get some light on so I can actually properly see the bolt. I found a small little flashlight inside the toolbox, and that gave me just enough light to be able to properly get my breaker bar on and for me to properly get the bolt off and know that I'm fully on the bolt without relying just on feeling. So I managed to get the timing belt cover off. If you look into the water pump itself, it looks actually pretty dry in there. So there's nothing really for me to worry about. But other than the fact that the bottom cover is what's kind of holding the covering the water pump, which is not a good thing because that means I gotta take the crankshaft bolts off and the crankshaft pulley, which is a very extensive job and pretty much means I have to pull the motor off. Something I really don't want to do. I don't want to pull the motor off the car. So I got good news. I was feeling around the water pump and I felt a missing bolt. It seems like I forgot to put a bolt in. Obviously, it could explain why there was just not enough pressure and why there was a pool building up around there and why coolant was just spewing out. I got that bolt on, I tightened it up. There should be equal pressure along all sides of the gasket of the water pump, which means I should be able to not have any kind of leakage anymore. I'm gonna finish drying up the area, and then I'm putting on all the bolts to be able to put the car back on, the engine mount back on. I'm gonna turn the key and see what happens. Idle issue for sure. I got fixed up the vacuum lines, but it's still happening. Oh, it's still happening. Hey, what's up guys? It's Monday, next day, and the MR2 is still here. So yesterday I came to conclusion that I have to pull the motor to do this water pump job. So I drained all the coolant and oil off of it yesterday and really just got it somewhat ready to get this motor out. Thankfully, since I don't need to put it on an engine stand or anything like that, I think I can get the job done today. That being said, even if I get the job done today, I don't think I'm going to be able to drive the car back. I am getting the tire situation fixed up. Luckily, thanks to my homie Farcod, I was actually able to get new tires for the car. It's running some beautiful Steelies. I think I should just run these in all four because that really gives the car some character right there. Jokes aside, I'm going to start pulling the motor off the engine. Might just do time lapse like I did the past couple jobs I've been doing, but you know, maybe not. We'll see what happens. First off, I gotta clean up the shop. You know, this table is a mess. There's a lot of garbage that I just don't need. I need to take the oil, put it back into the jar. Probably, if it's still good, I'm gonna reuse it because it only has like what, 2 or 3 miles on it since I've only driven the car a couple miles. And other than that, like maybe just say F it and just do a full-on oil flush. I think that's probably what I'm gonna do. Just get more oil and just do a full-on flush. But I gotta see how much oil came out because I found out that these oil pans don't drain all the oil. They just leave about, I think, about a quart in there. So I gotta double check that what's in there is about 6 quarts. I just gotta be careful not to overfill it. So, I managed to get to the water pump, got the timing belt and all that off. Nothing looks too suspicious. This is where I use, you know, the perfect right stuff to try to stop the leaking. But from what I noticed, the leaking was coming from all over here and also all over here as well, as it goes down and goes down here and then it starts dripping down on my oil pan. This side was its own complete leak, which means now I gotta just take the water pump off and see where I messed up. So I got the water pump out and it seems like it is coming from the gasket. Obviously, it seems like the gasket is bad. I got a brand new one on my water pump and I'm thinking about just getting everything replaced. Just looking at it, you can just see moisture. That's where when the leaks were coming from. And up there, if you can see the moisture on there, you can see where the second leak is coming from. So this is very clear that the gasket wasn't doing its job and it was definitely not good and probably definitely not level. So this going in the trash. I flattened out the edges all around here so the new gasket will sit properly and against it without any chance of water or any coolant seeping out. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I messed up and put the wrong gasket on, I don't know. Pretty much just re-bolt the water pump back on. The only thing I really need to do at this point is just retime the motor, put everything back together, and then put the motor back in. So it's gonna be relatively fast and actually pretty quick. I'm back, and well, the motor is back in the car. It's been about like, what, an hour since I took the water pump and changed it. All I need to do is reconnect my suspension, my vacuum lines, my coolant lines, and my fuel lines, and I should be able to turn the motor on and see if it runs. I'm sorry if I can't really put words together right now. I'm actually just really tired from putting everything out, putting it back in. I still have a long way to go, and I also have the new tires to put on the car. Thankfully, I got that done and situated, so I could possibly do a test drive with the car today if I had the energy to. So it's Tuesday and MR2 is done for the most part. I gotta take it for a test drive. I fixed the coolant leak. There's no coolant coming out whatsoever. I just filled the car up with coolant. It's not completely full. I also want to apologize for the noise in the background. The landlord is clearing up some metal around the place, so they're just cutting stuff up. So I can't take the car for a test drive. I think my slave cylinder has gotten bad because I have no feeling in my clutch pedal whatsoever. Apart from that, the car runs beautifully. There's no coolant leak whatsoever. I've been letting it run. If there was any chance for a coolant leak to pop up around the water pump, it would have done so by now. I just gotta figure out why my slave cylinder isn't working and why I can't go into any gears while the car is running. I think I'm also going to end this episode here, just because it kind of is a little bit of a cliffhanger. Hopefully next time this car will be going on the track. So let's see what happens.